Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in today. My name is Jesse Mayfield-Sheehan. I am coming to you live from Warren Field in Brookline, Massachusetts, here to bring you live coverage of today's varsity high school baseball contest between the visiting Wildcats of Milton High School and the hosting Brookline High Warriors. Today is senior day for the Brookline Warriors, which means they are going to be honoring their senior class of 2023, including senior members Ryan Kravitz, Nate Kessler, Leander Gosling, Sam Polgreen, Alec Robin, Colin Gibbons, and Bora Schlosser. It's a special day here, the last home game of the season here at Warren Field, and for a special game, we've got a special guest here with us today. I am joined by my guest color commentator, Mark Jean-Louis. Mark, thanks so much for coming out here, man.
Thank you for inviting me out here, Jesse. It's been a long time since you and I got the privilege and opportunity to do a broadcast together, but none better situation than today. He had a baseball game between these two Division II baseball teams, and yeah, can't wait for a good game of baseball and get this one started.
Absolutely. Folks, you see, Mark and I studied sports journalism together at UMass Amherst, so we've been on a few broadcasts in the past, but it's been 8 years, my friend. It's been a while.
You know, what's actually really fascinating was I think the last time we may have actually done a broadcast together was back when I had my podcast my senior year, and This was during when the University of Kentucky men's basketball team was on that undefeated run, and I went the entire year in school thinking that Kentucky was going to complete the season 40-0, not lose a single game. I almost made it there, and then Wisconsin had other things to say about that one, and that's what kind of folded it for me. But yes.
And we all very deservedly clowned on you for it. Good times, my friend. Good times.
So close.
But yes, the two teams coming in today, Brookline enters with a 4-13 overall record, ranked 47th in the MIAA Division I power rankings. You know, not headed for the playoffs this year, but still hoping for a good game here today against a tough opponent. Milton with a strong record of 15-3 coming in today, first in the power rankings in Division II. So different divisions, but very big difference in the rankings. So we'll see how this one goes. I am Jesse Mayfield-Sheehan, joined by Mark Jean-Louis here at Warren Field, and you are watching Brookline High Baseball. Jernigan launches this one deep to left. Left fielder on his horse. Looking back, it's off the wall. Runner immediately taking off. Hard hit right at first. Polgreen's got the double play. Hits it. It skips past the third baseman. In comes Brendel. Milton wins it for Brookline. All right, so we can see the Milton High Wildcats warming up here in the field in their white jerseys with red jersey numbers. And Mark, you pointed this out before the broadcast. Brookline with their white jerseys and dark blue jersey numbers. So a little similar. But let's read out the starting lineup for Milton, at least, as they will soon, they're wrapping up their warm-ups here in the field. They'll soon be getting ready to bat here in the top of the first inning. So let's take a look at the starting lineup for the Milton High Wildcats. Leading off for Milton, the shortstop, number 12, Owen McHugh. Batting second, the third baseman, number 13, Jimmy Fallon. Batting third and starting on the mound for Milton today, number 19, Scott Longo. Batting cleanup and playing first base, number 16, K.J. Beckett. Next, I believe he is the designated hitter, number 20, Max Dunn. Batting sixth, the center fielder, number 7, Jack Sullivan. Batting, wait, am I counting this right? No, I miscounted. Seventh, the second baseman, number 4, Sean McDougal. Batting eighth, the right fielder, number 3, Reed Dexter. Batting ninth, the left fielder, number 5, Harry Hinkle. And just playing the field for Milton today, the catcher, number 15, Will Hunt. So that is the starting lineup for Milton today. We're here we go. Starting lineup for Brookline just came in, just texted to me by Coach O'Connor. So let's read it out. Starting off, leading off for Brookline, the center fielder, number 3, Ryan Kravitz. Batting second, the third baseman, number 11, Nate Kessler. Batting third, the pitcher, number 15, Leander Gosling. Batting cleanup, the first baseman, number 16, Sam Polgreen. Batting fifth, the left fielder, number 21, Colin Gibbons. Batting sixth, the right fielder, number 18, Alec Robin. Batting seventh, the designated hitter, number 24, Bora Schlosser. Batting eighth, the second baseman, number 19, Ben Rosenblatt. Batting ninth, the catcher, number 8, Ben Doctoroff. And then just playing the field for Brookline today is their shortstop. I think this is a guy who got called up from the freshman roster, number 9, Felix Ham. Head coach of the Brookline High baseball team is Brendan O'Connor. So the first 7 hitters in that lineup are the team's 7 seniors. And Mark, you were a high school athlete yourself. Tell me, what is it like for a senior to be playing on your senior day game?
Well, quite honestly, Jesse, you think back to all the times that you've played, almost like Little League sometimes, T-ball, and, your 4 years of playing high school baseball. And it's just really incredible just how quickly it goes by. You make the team on the freshman team your freshman year, maybe get the opportunity to finally make it to the junior varsity level your sophomore year, hopefully. But, and when you're at the early levels, you think it doesn't go by really quickly, but then, you make it to the varsity team, and almost in the blink of an eye, you're standing there out there in the left field. I played left field, and you're just really soaking it all in. It's like, wow, it's like my baseball career is, just about ending at this time right about now. So it just, just don't take it for granted. It really just flies by you faster than you could believe.
Exactly. There's so much to look back on throughout a baseball career, and it's crazy to think the career that a lot of these young men have had, considering that, like, back when they were starting out, back when they were freshmen, that spring season was canceled. Mm-hmm. Their freshman spring season. So for them, it's got to have been an even shorter career than the average varsity athlete, just because of the strange circumstance they've had to go through. Their sophomore year was that, strange year where, yes, we had a season, but we were just coming back from COVID. It was a late start. Playoff structures were all weird, and you never knew, what was going to happen. You didn't know what you were gonna get. But to make it all the way here, and like you said, some guys, they had to come up the long way, maybe on just the freshman team, just making the team as a freshman, working their way up from freshman to JV to varsity. There's a few guys on here that I recognize as varsity players, even dating back to their sophomore seasons, such as Ryan Kravitz, Leander Gosling, and Nate Kessler. But a lot of these guys have been working their way up the old-fashioned way, and so it really has to feel like a blink of an eye.
Quite honestly, yeah, it's like I didn't even consider that because back when I was in high school, the concept of pandemic, COVID-19, completely non-existent. That was way way off in the future. But when you throw that in there, a lot of what would have been 4 years for these guys got just unfortunately cut down to about 2.5 years, and so it goes by even faster.
Exactly. Remember, folks, as always, if you end up enjoying this live stream, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on all my upcoming live streams. Brookline High Baseball still has 2 more games left in this season. On Wednesday, I believe, at Newton North, and then on Friday at, I believe, Cambridge Ringe to wrap up the season. As you see, the seniors coming out there was Ryan Kravitz and Nate Kessler. And now next, I believe, should be Leander Gosling if they're going in order of batting order, which they are. So be sure to subscribe to the channel, stay up to date on everything coming up. And then if you got anything you'd like to say, I encourage you to say it in the live chat. It could be as simple as go Brookline or go Milton. No matter who you're rooting for, we appreciate the good vibes in the live chat. If you want to shout out your favorite player, especially on a day like today, if you want to shout out your favorite senior, that's a good reason to leave notes in the live chat. If you want to let us know where you're tuning in from, that's always fun with these online live streams that can be watched all over the world. We can see our first note in the live chat from one of our regular viewers, Barbara Jo Metzger. Go Brookline Warriors from Buffalo, New York. Good to see our Buffalo fan club tuning in as always. Thank you, Barbara. And then, of course, if you notice any technical difficulties with the stream, I encourage you to let me know in the live chat. It might be something I don't notice on my end, and it might be something I can fix. So if you see something, say something. And then, of course, particularly for any Milton fans tuning in, if I am botching the pronunciation of anyone's names, I encourage you to let me know in the live chat. I want to give these student-athletes the best coverage I possibly can, and to me, part of that means getting their names right. So warming up on the mound now for Brookline is number 15, Leander Gosling. Gosling has, as you can see, made 2 pitching appearances in relief so far this season. He's pitched 5 innings total amongst those 2 previous appearances. Has an ERA of 4.20, a whip of 1.60, and 3 strikeouts. But this will be his first and, in all likelihood, his only varsity start on the mound for his career. Special moment for this senior Leander Gosling.
Oh, wow. When you think about it, a relief pitcher, normally spending all his time in the bullpen, but finally getting that opportunity to make a spot start in a situation like this must be a lot of adrenaline rushing through the senior's mind right about now.
Absolutely. Gosling, usually known more for his prowess on the left side of the infield as a shortstop and third baseman, and as an occasional, sort of a platoon man coming in and out of the order. Of course, he had a big day in Brookline's loss at Canton last week, recording just his 2nd hit of the year, but an RBI base hit that at the time tied the game. So we'll see if he can carry some of that momentum onto his time on the mound here. Due up for Milton will be their top 3 hitters, Owen McHugh, Jimmy Fallon, and Scott Longo. And soon we will be getting this one underway. And Mark, a lot of guys, like I said, a lot of guys who worked their way up the hard way, and a lot of guys who, were more playing those platoon roles in and out of the starting lineup. Guys like Kravitz and Kessler were pretty regular players, got a lot of appearances. Gosling was a pretty regular platoon man. Polgreen was brought in from time to time as a first baseman. Cullen Gibbons was more off the bench. Alec Robin, more known as a pinch runner than as a regular position player. Bora Schlosser got a couple at-bats as a pinch hitter. But really a lot of guys who project to get some of the most playing time they've had all season, which is part of what's so special about high school. I feel like, yes, winning is important. It's a goal. You strive to be the best you can be. But there is sort of that, feel-good lowering of stakes that comes from this lower level.
Of course, absolutely. When you think about it in Major League Baseball, a lot of these guys that are more like role players might spend more of the time on the bench. But when it comes to the high school athletics, a lot of these guys, even if they're not regular players, they do other things incredibly well. So to finally see them getting a chance to start today, it's really something quite special.
And now let's get this one started. Stepping into the box for Milton, the shortstop, number 12, Owen McHugh. First pitch is going to be low for ball one. We've got a bit of a headwind blowing out here at Warren. You might be able to see the trees on your screen blowing towards the batter, so that could potentially create some complications, as that one's also going to miss low for ball two.
Wind's blowing in from the outfield going in towards home plate, so usually that works out towards the pitcher's advantage towards any balls that might be hit.
That one is going to miss outside for ball three. And of course, the one thing at this high school level is anything that affects a batted ball could potentially work out to the hitter's advantage, just because at the high school level, there's no such thing as a routine play in the field.
Very true. Very true. And so when you throw that wind in there, also might create a lot of complications for the defense.
That one down Broadway for strike one. McHugh taking all the way on that one. 3-1 the count to the Milton leadoff hitter. And hits the zone again for strike two. We've got a full count to start this ball game.
I really love the composure and the poise by the pitch over here. Got down early 3-0, but didn't let it rattle him. He's now back to count 3-2.
Now here comes the payoff pitch. And that one is going to miss low, and McHugh is going to draw a leadoff walk.
Yep. Nice at bat. Good job by the hitter to really have a good eye, make sure that he got some good pitches to look at. Didn't swing in it. Wasn't tempted when the pitcher got back 3-2, and it paid off. I mean, earned the walk.
Leadoff runner on with nobody out. Up comes the third baseman, number 13, Jimmy Fallon. First pitch in there, strike one.
And of course, that's not to be confused with the late-time Saturday Night Live host, but rather the third baseman here for Milton.
And Gosling takes a beat off the rubber. And it is funny you say that, because I've covered a few games between Brookline and Milton, a few different sports. The first time I actually saw Jimmy Fallon's name was at a hockey game as McHugh takes off and it hits him. That is a hit by pitch. McHugh was taking off to steal, but it's going to be another free pass for Jimmy Fallon.
Ouch. Talk about, reaching base the hard way, but, any way they come.
Exactly.
Got to get on there somehow.
So, as I was saying, the first time I ever saw Jimmy Fallon playing against Brookline was a hockey game all the way back in winter of 2020.
Oh, wow.
Back when I imagine Fallon himself was a freshman. This first pitch in the dirt gets away from the catcher. He lost track of it, and both runners are going to advance. It's still lost. McHugh's going to try and come home, and he does. Doctoroff lost track of that one completely, and Milton is on the board. Boy, it's not often that you see a catcher lose track of a pitch for that long, but he just had, I think he thought it was somewhere around his feet, but it was all the way to the backstop, and so he just had no idea where it was, and as a result, McHugh was able to score all the way from second.
And honestly, as a catcher, that's probably got to be eating you alive on the inside, because especially when a runner takes two bases on you like that, especially given that the backstop is not that far away from behind home plate, and so, that's probably, eating him alive now that the first run of the game is scored on a pass ball by him.
Certainly got to be tough. Ben Doctoroff, known as a pretty solid defensive catcher for Brookline, been working in the platoon back there with Avery Melton, one of the two non-seniors starting today, as Brookline doesn't have any senior catchers, and they only have 7 seniors, so they couldn't do an all-senior lineup, which I think they did last year. I think they did an all-senior lineup, but can't do that one this year. 2-0 the count now to the pitcher, number 19, Scott Longo. And that one's in there for a strike.
I noticed that he had thrown quite a few balls the last couple of pitches, but good to see that he got that one right down the middle, so that might be giving him some confidence to try and get back in this count.
This one is going to be skied out to the right field area. That looks like it's going to float out of play. No play on the ball out there in right field. That will be strike 2. 2-2, the count to Longo. Runner on second, nobody out. And that pitch is going to skip in the dirt. Well blocked that time by Doctoroff. And the runner holds full count.
He did a very good job to get down in his crouch and keep that ball from skipping by him that was pitched into the dirt. So, yep, definitely making up for the pass ball that he had a moment ago.
Runner is taking off, and it's a hit ball. It skips past Kessler at third into left. Another run is going to come in. Fallon scores. Longo with the RBI single up the third baseline.
And with the score now being 2-0 Milton, that was a good job for the hitter to see the hole that was between the shortstop and the third baseman and just send that pitch down to left field, or able to score the run from second.
And we'll be sure to check Game Changer momentarily after the inning is over to check whether they scored that a hit or an error. But in the meantime, we've got a courtesy runner for the Wildcats here, as stepping up to the plate is the first baseman, number 16, KJ Beckett. And Beckett takes strike 1. Running for the pitcher, Scott Longo, will be number 22, Luke Naughton. That one catches the low corner there, strike 2. Gosling's been throwing a lot of pitches low, but that one just high enough to catch the low corner.
I mean, when you have a pitcher that throws a lot of pitches low in the zone, that usually induces a lot of ground ball contact. So we'll see if it works out for him. Swing
and a miss, strike 3. Throw down to second is just missed by Rosenblatt. It was a tough catch to make with Naughton sliding in. He will get the successful steal, but Brookline does get their first out of the inning as Beckett goes down swinging.
Yes, catcher had the right idea by throwing the ball low down to second base, which just skipped by the second baseman, but the center fielder did a very good job backing that ball up to prevent the runner from getting over to third base.
So now 1 out and a runner at second. Up comes the designated hitter, number 20, Max Dunn. Gosling checks on Naughton over at second. Now we got a timeout called by the hitter now. 1 out, runner at second. Milton leading Brookline 2-0 here in the top of the first inning. Gosling gets a pitch he likes. And hits him. Wait, no, that went off the end of his bat. Or no, it didn't. It did hit him. Dunn decided to run that one out just in case, but the ump said that it hit his arm. And so Dunn goes to first. Naughton has to go back to second because it was a dead ball. Coach O'Connor is out to discuss with the umpire. If that had been called that it went off the end of his bat, that would have been the weirdest infield single I'd ever seen.
Absolutely, because, I mean, from our point of view, you could tell that he swings a little bit, but you can't tell if it almost hits his arm or if it hits the end of the bat, like that, the knob of the bat, which if that did hit his bat would be definitely the only infield single at any level I would have seen hit like that. But we'll have to see how they score that one, but I believe it was a hit by pitch.
Yeah, since they sent Naughton back to second, it had to have been because they called it a dead ball.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So now coming up, runners at first and second, 1 down. The center fielder, number 7, Jack Sullivan. First pitch in there, strike 1.
That was a beauty right there. Painted it right on the inside lower part of the corner.
Naughton at second, Dunn at first. 1 down, 0-1 the count. And a timeout called by Doctoroff to come out and talk to Gosling.
with a ground ball pitcher that we have on the mound here. It's good to see the infield at double play depth. Maybe with a ground ball, they're going to try to look to get a double play, get out of this inning.
Well, not on that pitch because he didn't make contact. Swing and a miss, strike 2. But yes, a big potential opportunity as they got force at 3 of the 4 bases for a potential double play if a ground ball is hit. That one misses just high and out, ball 1.
One of the few high pitches that he's thrown so far here in this inning. But yeah, Milton with 2 runs on the board. It'd be nice to see Brookline get out of it and, see their batters come up only down 2.
Runner takes off for third, and that one's going to be in the dirt, and the other runner is going to take off. Naughton steals third. Dunn advances on the wild pitch.
There goes that opportunity for a double play.
Boy, call that the announcer jinx for the day.
That always seems to happen. I'll take the blame for that one, bring up the possibility of a double play. Almost as soon as I bring that up, that opportunity seems to be gone.
That one close but misses just low and away. Ball 3, full count now to Sullivan. That one's going to miss high and out, ball 4. So the force comes back. I don't know if we double jinxed it there, but we've now got bases loaded with 1 out. Now batting the second baseman, number 4, Sean McDougall.
I mean, you never really want to, as a pitcher, you never really want to be up there with the bases loaded. But again, with that, the double play comes back into option here. So good thing, bad thing, maybe a little bit of both. Depends on how you look at it, honestly.
It certainly is a weird mix of feelings. I mean, obviously you'd prefer to have the out, as that one catches the inside corner for strike 1. But not only does that create a potential double play, it also creates a force at home for a potential fielder's choice.
That too.
This one is going to be skied. It's going to stay in the infield. It's going to fly out of play. It is. Flies over the cage and lands safely out of play for a foul ball. 1-2 now, the count to McDougall.
Hopefully getting his confidence back up there now that he's ahead in the count 1-2. So, we'll see if he can carry that confidence into the next pitch and get this next out, or possibly 2.
That one is low for ball 2. Well blocked by Doctoroff with a runner at third. The potential of another wild pitch or pass ball bringing in a run is strong.
Besides that one pitch that he let by him where the runner scored from second base, he's done a very fantastic job of blocking the balls, the pitches that were low in the zone.
This one's lined out to right, drops foul. That one almost perfectly placed for what could have been a 2-run single to right. Instead will simply be a foul ball as McDougall stays live at 2-2.
When you're ahead and you make such clean contact on the ball like that, it sounds like a beautiful thing, but then you see it drift just to the wrong side of the chalk, and you're like, almost had that one. Just a little bit lay back on it, I would have had that.
That one's in there for strike 3. Gosling with his second K of the inning. McDougall goes down looking, and there's now 2 down.
Makes it even worse when the very next pitch you strike out looking on that one, but, he'll have another chance at this.
Now coming up, the right fielder, number 3, Reed Dexter. That one is low for ball 1. So now 2 down, and there is a force at every base. So on a ground ball, you just got to go to the nearest spot.
Definitely takes a lot of pressure off the infielders of that one, knowing that they're now just 1 out away from getting out of this inning.
That one misses high for ball 2. Two and 0 the count. As that one's in there for a strike, and a good strike to get for Gosling. As one of the drawbacks of having bases loaded is you issue a free pass of any kind, a runner's coming in.
Basically, so it's very important that the pitcher try to keep his pitches in the zone, gives something that's tempting for the batter to swing at.
Like he just swung at that one and fouled it to the backstop for strike 2.
And now that he's only 1 strike away from getting out of this inning, to get out of this inning with as many pitches as this guy has thrown, only down 2-0, that's probably, almost a silver lining and a moral victory for Brookline.
Well, he's still got that. Got to get that last strike. And he doesn't on that pitch. Low for 3-2.
Now it's really important that you got to make sure that this pitch is in the strike zone. They're going to be taking off on this pitch, all three.
Full count, 2 down, bases juiced here in the first. And that pitch sails in high for a bases-loaded walk.
That brings in the runner home from third to make it 3-0 Milton.
You jinxed him again, Mark.
I seem to have that curse on everyone, Jesse. Seem to. And
so that brings in Luke Naughton, and now we have the last batter of the order, the left fielder, number 5, Harry Hinkle. Bases loaded, 2 out, 3 runs on the board. First pitch in there for a strike. This one is skied out to shallow center. A few players tracking it, and Kravitz calls for it and races in and gets it.
Excellent catch there, but going down to his knees with Kravitz to get the final out of this inning. And yeah, a huge sigh of relief for Brookline as they now get to take their turn batting in there half the first inning, only down 3.
Indeed, and only down 3 doesn't, might sound a little weird, but after the tough inning they had, 3 innings can potentially feel like kind of a relief to get out with only that many runs. We'll see if the Brookline seniors can get some offense back here in the bottom of the first. And due up first will be the guy that just made that catch, the center fielder, Ryan Kravitz. After that will be Nate Kessler, and then the pitcher, Leander Gosling. So I'm going to take a quick look at Game Changer here to see how some of those plays might have been scored officially by the team. Okay, it was a single by Scott Longo. Just wanted to double check. It looked like a hard enough hit ball that you would call that a single and not give an error, but it pays to double check. And then everything else shakes out pretty much the same. They score Dunn's reach as a single, which is inaccurate because it couldn't have been a single because they sent the runner back to second. That was a hit by pitch.
Yeah, so it was like if they scored that a single, that almost makes you question, did that ball hit the knob of the bat like what it looked like from our point of view?
Yeah, no, my guess is it's just a slight scoring error. I do defer to Game Changer when it comes to things like hits and errors, but, they're not infallible. They're not perfect, so sometimes you just got to trust your own observations.
Maybe they made a mistake, sometimes, and I'm sure, if they'll go back and look to see if that scoring was correct, and we'll have the update on that, I'm sure, as we'll check out later throughout the game.
Starting on the mound for Milton today is number 19, Scott Longo, and leading off for Brookline, the center fielder, number 3, Ryan Kravitz. First pitch is high for ball 1. Kravitz's stats for the season you can see on the bottom of your screen. 5 for 43 this season with 6 walks, 1 hit by pitch, 2 steals, 5 runs scored, and an RBI. Swings and misses there for strike 1. Swing and a miss there for strike 2. And Mark, you commented on his nice hustle to make that catch in center field. For those of us who have been following this kid since back when he was a sophomore, those catches are his bread and butter, as he's made plenty of great highlight-worthy catches, dating all the way back to the 2021 season right after COVID. And he's got plenty of great highlights to look back on as he finishes his career here.
That won't be one of them, unfortunately.
Unfortunately not. He swings and misses, goes down on strikes there. And that'll be 1 out in the inning as up comes the third baseman, number 11, Nate Kessler. First pitch in there for strike 1. Kessler this season 9 for 31 with 1 double, 7 walks, 2 hit by pitch, 1 steal, 6 runs, and 3 RBI. as he chops that one into the infield. It's taken off a couple hops, barehanded and thrown to first, just beats the runner. Good hustle by Owen McHugh, as that was far from a gimme play.
Oh, yeah, because that was excellent hustle by the second baseman right there. You see that batted ball. It's almost like it was almost drifting, like it was in the Matrix, but he didn't let that, deter him. He just got down, did his business, and, was able to make that throw over to first.
Now up with 2 outs, the pitcher, number 15, Leander Gosling, takes the first pitch for ball 1. Gosling so far this season, 2 for 13, 6 walks, 1 steal, 3 runs, and 1 RBI. His first RBI coming in that Canton game last week as he takes strike 1 there. One of the more interesting slash lines is when I last checked, he had a batting average of 143, but an on-base percentage of 400.
Maybe not, supplying when he needs to at batting average, but gets on base nonetheless. So that's what's important after all in this game.
2-1 now, the count to Gosling. Swings and misses there, strike 2. 2-2 the count. And swing and a miss there. Gosling goes down on strikes. Brookline goes down in order. And that is the end of the first inning. After 1, our score, the Milton High Wildcats 3, the Brookline High Warriors 0. And I believe Gosling will be returning to the mound. A quick turnaround for Gosling after a long first inning, and then the batters unfortunately go down in order.
Yeah, definitely a lot of pitches that he had to shell out during that top of the first inning, so you would have hoped that he would have at least got a little bit more time to get that arm recovered for the next inning. But, yeah, with the quick work that Milton High did with Brookline in their half the first, it's right back to business for this guy.
And we've got some shout-outs to some of our seniors in the live chat from Parth Sakdev. Go Bora, referring to Bora Schlosser, of course. And then Kim Chung-sik from all the way out in California. Congrats all seniors, Alec, Colin, Leander, Nady, Ryan, and Sam. Thank you so much, guys. Like I said, we appreciate the good vibes in the live chat. And this is a day, win or lose, ultimately to celebrate the Brookline seniors. And so we appreciate the kind, supportive notes in the live chat.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like we said at the top of this broadcast, it's been a tough year for Brookline with the record of 4-13 that they have going into this game. But with Senior Day on the mound, you just put records and, any losing that you had aside and just want to get out there and have a good day of baseball.
Well, we're going to be starting back with the top of the order for Milton after they sent all 9 batters to the plate in the first inning. Leading off will be the shortstop, number 12, Owen McHugh. First pitch, high and inside, ball 1. Gosling's got to be careful. Had 2 hit batters in the first inning, as well as 3 walks. That's a hard hit. Skips past Kessler and into left. And that's going to be a leadoff hit for Owen McHugh.
Yeah, great contact by Owen McHugh. Almost a fantastic play made by the third baseman. Almost, looked like he had a beat on that, but the ball just hit the edge of the infield grass over there and then skipped out to left field. So when that happens, almost gives you no chance to make that play.
Yeah, no, that would be – I feel like that's also similar to the single by Longo last inning. Just too hard hit a ball to give an error to the fielder there. McHugh taking off on the first pitch. It's a high ball. Throw down to second. Oh, just slides around the tag. And McHugh takes second.
Yep, that was a great jump that the runner at first had. Again, fantastic pop-up by the catcher. Almost had the run at second, which I thought was not going to be close, but he made it really close at second base.
Good reaction by Doctoroff, just not quite good enough. And the count is 1-0 to the third baseman, number 13, Jimmy Fallon, who takes strike 1 there. Fallon in the first inning was one of those batters hit by a pitch. He later came in to score. This one's a grounder. That's going to be foul up the third base line, and that will be strike 2.
Just has to bring that back a little bit. Almost was able to sneak that inside the third base bag, but just pulled it foul at the last moment. So he's getting a beat on the ball, it looks like.
1-2, the count to Fallon. Runner taking off, high ball, and no throw. It's always tricky when a guy steals third, but you're facing a righty hitter. It's like even if they try and step out of the way, that almost makes them step into the way.
Yeah, naturally speaking, because sometimes you want to back up in those situations.
Swing and a miss there. Good high heat from Gosling as Fallon goes down on strikes.
And so when you're the catcher, you try to like slide back behind the batter, try to throw it down to third base. But in this case, the third baseman was not going to get there in time to receive that anyways. So easy steal for the runner.
McHugh stands at third, but now 1 out after Fallon goes down swinging. Now up the pitcher, number 19, Scott Longo. First pitch comes in low for ball 1. Longo, the rare righty batter and lefty thrower, as we saw him working that southpaw pitch on the mound in the bottom half of the first.
Yes, I did notice that, actually. He almost had a Koufax delivery to him. I was making a note of that when he was up there on the mound pitching.
Swing and a miss, strike 1. Longo, his last time up, he got an RBI single, and his courtesy runner, Luke Naughton, later came in to score. 1-1 the count. That's a hard hit ball. That's going out to right. McHugh is going to trot home as Longo has his second RBI single of the day.
Made great contact on that one. It's like, even though he's a pitcher, he seems to be a fantastic hitter, just was able to smack that one into right field. So it's always an asset to a team when you have a pitcher that is both dominant on the mound and at the plate.
And that's one of the things you get with the different flavor of baseball that high school baseball is a lot of times you just play your best athletes. You know, not necessarily a specialist at any one kind of thing like you see at the pros. But so, you know, a guy, you know, isn't just a pitcher. A guy's because
Yes.
Whenever he's not pitching, he's probably a starting infielder or something because they need their best athletes out on the field.
Yes, and of course, when you think about Major League Baseball, the first example we think about that is Shohei Ohtani. But sometimes you got to remember that at the high school level, you definitely seem to have a lot of Shohei Ohtanis when you have your best athlete that can both pitch at a high level and hit at a high level. So it's always a fantastic thing to see.
At the plate now, as Luke Naughton again comes in as a courtesy runner, up is the first baseman, number 16, KJ Beckett. Runner now taking off, and it's fouled off, and so the runner will have to retreat.
You got a good jump on that one too. So to see that one go foul, that's probably in the runner's mind. It's like almost had that one, but
Yeah,
just got to get back and get ready for the next one.
Between the aggressive base running and the aggressive swings, the aggressive everything, you can see the confidence that Milton has as the top team in Division II. Well-deserved confidence, I'd say, with how they've been playing this season.
Oh, absolutely. You can easily see how they got to 15-3 on the season. That one was really close at first base this time. So
yeah, no, there have been a couple of close pickoff attempts against Naughton so far in this at bat. Just the throw has just been slightly off and hasn't been quite perfect. And that's a hard hit ball and snagged at short by Ham, thrown to first in time.
wow.
Welcome to the varsity game, Felix Ham. A late season call-up from the freshman squad, and he shows why there.
That was a fantastic stop by the shortstop over there. Yep, didn't let the dust around him bother him. Was able to get it back up, focus and get that throw over to first. Maybe we'll see that one on Baseball Tonight at Sports Center. I'll tell you what.
And Beckett holds at second, so it is now 2 outs, and up comes the designated hitter, number 20, Max Dunn, and he's going to sky the first pitch he sees out to left. Gibbons tracking it out and left, and he's got it for out number 3. So 1 run comes across for Milton, but the Brookline defense comes through with a few nice plays to hold it to just 1 run. 4-0 as we go into the bottom of the second.
Yeah, definitely much better by Brookline defensively and pitching on the out there during the second inning. So even though they added another run to make it 4-0, you guys really gotta feel feeling good if you're Brookline, knowing that it could have been a lot worse and they still have a reasonable shot in this game.
One of the things I often see with high school pitchers, like I said, these guys are not specialists, so when they come out either in the first inning of a start or especially in the first inning of a relief outing, they're often not quite in their groove just yet, and so you can get a lot of control issues, which is, I think, what we saw with Gosling in the first inning. Like I said, about 5 free passes issued, only 1 base hit, actually, for as long as that first inning rally was for Milton. They only had 1 base hit the entire inning. So you can see him finding his rhythm a little more in that second inning, pitching a lot more to contact. No free passes issued in that second inning is a nice contrast from the first.
Definitely got to give him credit for that one. And like you said, these pitchers at the high school level, they're not specialists. Major League Baseball, you work with a pitching coach out in the bullpen over in right field, and that's all you do is just work on your form and your mechanics when you're out there pitching. And so, you get all that time to warm up out there. But with these high school athletes, a lot of times that first inning is where they're getting, all their kinks and bugs worked out.
First pitch at the bottom of the second is going to miss for ball 1. At the plate for Brookline, the first baseman, number 16, Sam Polgreen. Polgreen 0 for 9 at the plate so far this season. Swings and misses there for strike 1. He's had a solid season in the field as a part-time first baseman, sort of a platoon guy with some of the regular starters like Connor Jernigan as he swings and misses there for strike 2. But he's hoping to get that big first hit here on Senior Day.
Definitely no better opportunity than to have that one right now and start at the bottom of the second the right way.
And it hits him. And so Sam Polgreen does reach base for the first time this season. It may not be by a base hit.
Yes.
But it is by a hit in a way.
Yes, and like I was saying, talk about getting the bottom of the second inning started off the right way if you're Brookline. Maybe not the most comfortable way that you would like, but, effective and reached first base nonetheless.
At the high school level, you just got to take what your opponent will give you sometimes. As that first pitch swung on and missed for strike 1. At the plate for Brookline is the left fielder, number 21, Colin Gibbons. He is 1 for 5 so far this season as he takes strike 2 there. And while Brookline does have a leadoff runner on, they are facing a southpaw pitcher, so they can't be as aggressive at first base. As you see Polgreen fairly close to first, and Gibbons goes down on 3 pitches, strike 3.
Yes, and I was noticing that with Longo on the mound, he seems to have that very dominant form as he just had a 3-pitch strikeout right there. But yes, as you were saying, with that lefty on the mound, you can't take as big a lead as you would like to, just because it's just so easy for the pitcher to see that step off and throw it over to first base. And so, trying to steal against a lefty, you just got to make sure you get that timing just right.
First pitch hits the inside corner there against the Brookline right fielder, number 18, Alec Robin. Robin has only had 1 plate appearance so far this season. He's 0 for 1, but he's been productive on the base paths as a pinch runner, as that one just misses for ball 1. Robin with 2 stolen bases and 3 runs scored as a pinch runner, so he's made his presence known in this Brookline roster, even if not with his bat. That one's going to be high for ball 2.
Definitely seems to be a patient hitter, just waiting for his pitch, trying to find one that's, just perfect for him in his strike zone that he can send out to the outfield or put anywhere just to get himself on base and move it around is over.
Swing and a miss there, strike 2.
But against a pitcher like Longo, who seems to have excellent command of the strike zone today, that may be tougher, easier said than done to, put these balls in play and get on base.
2-2 the count. And that one just misses. A gutsy watch from Robin makes it a full count. And that misses for ball 4. Alec Robin reaching base as a hitter for the first time this season, as that's another free pass issued by Longo.
That's fantastic patience and a fantastic eye that number 18 just showed right there. Both pitches, those last two pitches were very close, could have gone either way, but he took that gutsy hold off on the swing, and it paid off for him.
So now 2 runners on for Brookline, and up comes the designated hitter, number 24, Bora Schlosser. First pitch in there for strike 1. Schlosser 0 for 2 so far today. More known among Brookline Warriors Nation for his production on the football gridiron, as he was a captain of the football team in the fall season. Takes strike 2 there. But first-time varsity player this season, hoping he might be able to get his first hit here on Senior Day. Not that time, as he goes around. Dropped third, strike, doesn't matter with runners on base. Caught chasing hard on that high heat, and that's 2 down. As up comes our first non-senior, the second baseman, number 19, Ben Rosenblatt.
It's incredible to see Longo just regain his composure and take care of business as he did with the last batter over there, just making very quick work of him getting a 3-pitch strikeout. And as he starts off this pitch with another dominant strike.
That is swung on and missed by Rosenblatt. He is 2 for 4 at the plate so far this season with 1 walk. That one misses for ball 1. So granted, limits sample size, but Rosenblatt's on-base percentage is technically .600.
Yeah, like you said, only 4 at-bats, 2 for 4. So, he's hitting .500, which is fantastic. And we'll see if he can, cash in on this opportunity to make it 3-5.
First and second with 2 down. Fooled hard on the curve there. Strike 2. Polgreen at second, Robin at first. 2 down in the bottom of the second. Swing and a miss there. Well behind the heater on that one. And Rosenblatt goes down on strikes as well. Second inning comes to a close. Our score after 2. The Milton High Wildcats 4. The Brookline High Warriors 0. And we got some more comments from Kim Chung-sik. Congrats, Sam. Finally you landed the first base. And fantastic patience, Alec. You also landed on first base.
You got to love the support coming in from the fans and everybody watching on streaming. So thank you for all your support. And, it means a lot to these players. And so, just to have that, support coming in from all over the nation, it means a lot.
Yes. And, of course, Chung-sik Kim, a longtime fan of Brookline baseball. His son, John Kim, Brookline baseball player before the family moved out to California. And, I give him and the family credit. They've kept up their support of Brookline baseball through the years. They've been a regular watcher of my streams. It's awesome to see. And I believe John Kim had his own senior day out in California this year. So hats off to him, and hats off to all our current and former Warriors watching wherever you are. Due up for Milton here in the top of the third will be the 6, 7, 8 hitters, Sullivan, McDougal, and Dexter, as Gosling returns to the mound for a third inning of work.
Definitely seemed to have better composure and better control in that second inning and then in that first inning. Since, like I said, a lot of times, in high school, you're using that first inning almost as your bullpen session. So we'll have to see if he can carry on his groove from the second inning into the third.
There's the last of the warm-up throws, and we get started with the top of this third inning. Leading off for Milton, the center fielder, number 7, Jack Sullivan. Sullivan battled his way to a walk his last time up. see what happens with this one. That one bounces in the dirt for ball one. That one looks like it almost slipped out of his hand.
Almost, it looked like it just like bounced up, right, maybe 10 feet in front of the home plate. So, just first pitch of the at bat, just gotta settle down. Just make sure you get really good grip on that and try to fire that one in for a strike.
Like that one.
Yeah,
gets him with the high heat that time. Strike one. You jinxed him the right way this time, Mark.
I know, finally. Hey, sometimes I do it in the right way for a change, I'm not always a curse to these players.
This one fouled off for strike two.
Off to Souvenir City.
Actually, I'm pretty sure they're going to want those balls back.
Yes. They don't have an unlimited supply of those ones.
That one comes in low for ball two. That is another unique flavor of the high school game, is oftentimes you'll see the kids on the bench, their job for the day, unless they're called on to play, their job will be to chase down any foul balls that go a far distance.
Yes, I remember when I was a freshman playing for Brookline High School. That was a lot of my days was spent doing that when I didn't get a chance to start. So, keeps yourself ready, keeps yourself engaged and focused on what's going on.
That one just misses, and Sullivan battles his way to another walk. Good eye on some of those near balls, as Gosling just couldn't quite get that third strike.
Yeah, that's a back-to-back at-bats now where he's had a really patient, really good eye and was able to see both at-bats for a walk. So another great way to start out the inning for Milton.
Now batting the second baseman, number 4, Sean McDougall. Runner taking off on the first pitch, but it's fouled off for strike one. That was almost a little dangerous for Doctoroff, as you could see him springing up, getting ready for the throw almost before the ball was even in his glove, and he almost came in contact with the batter.
And I think that's just an attest and account to just how aggressive these Milton runners are on the base paths. And so when you're the catcher, you see that. You're trying to force yourself and, almost try to get ready for that throw before you even have it. This
next one is low for ball one. And you could see Sullivan almost make a jump towards second, but ultimately hold up. And something like that, when they're being as aggressive as they are, can throw off the pitcher or the catcher just a little bit in their periphery.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, hard to get into a rhythm.
Attempted pickoff there, and Sullivan dives back. A lot of Gosling's attempted pickoff throws have just been a little bit wide over to the wrong side of the base. But if he is able to right the trajectory on some of those pickoff throws, he might be able to get a runner or two.
Yeah, absolutely.
With the huge leads.
Throws have been close.
Low ball, and Doctoroff couldn't quite transfer it out of the glove. And another successful steal for the Wildcats.
Yeah, got a fantastic jump on there, like I said, and like you said also, Milton being very aggressive on the base paths. Even after a pickoff attempt, he doesn't let it determine take second base anyways.
2-1, the count to McDougall. McDougall went down on strikes his last time up, and he's hoping for a better result this time. Now here with a runner on second and nobody out. Runner taking off for third. They show bunt, pop it up, and it lands foul. Could not quite be snagged by Kessler. He was hustling for that one.
Almost had another web gem-worthy play on that one, but in this case, it works out in both cases since it's a foul ball. The runner has to go back to second anyways.
2-2 now the count to McDougall, so likely won't be trying the bunt again with a 2-strike count. Turnaround throw to second. Runner retreats back. He's trying to keep the runners honest, but the Wildcats have been running wild, pun entirely intended.
Absolutely, they have been, and that was an easy return to base since you don't see too many pickoff attempts at second like that.
Low throw for ball 3. And again, we saw kind of that stutter step off a second by Sullivan as he continues to threaten on the base paths. This one's a hard grounder up the middle. It gets past the second baseman. Sullivan rounding third, heading for home, and he's going to score. McDougal with the RBI single up the middle.
Fantastic contact by McDougal. Was able to see the hole in between the shortstop and the second baseman. Just got underneath the dive of the second baseman. Almost came up with it. But, yeah, credit to Milton to get another one on the board to make it 5-zip.
Now coming up with a runner at first and still nobody out, the right fielder, number 3, Reed Dexter. Dexter got a bases-loaded walk his last time up to drive in a run. That was the last run of that 3-run first inning. And this one gets away from the catcher, the wild pitch, and Doctoroff lost track of it again, and Dexter thought about running down to third, but this time he holds at second.
Got a little bit lucky there for the catcher on that one. It looked like the run as he was heading down to second base, it looks like he had his head down a little bit, didn't quite see that the catcher lost track of the ball. Otherwise, he probably would have was able to have a good shot to make it to third, but as a result, stays at second.
Shows bunt, pulls back, pitch in the dirt, and now McDougal takes third on that one.
I seem to have that curse again, Jesse. I mean, right as I say that, next pitch, another pitch in the dirt, and he takes third on that one, so he gets the third anyways.
I mean, with the aggression Milton's been showing on the base pads, it almost seems inevitable. Nice diving grab by Polgreen. He dives for first and gets him in time. A run does score, but Brookline hustles to get their first out of the inning.
Gotta love the hustle that you displayed right there, because he had it. Runners, hustling, busting all the way down to first base, and it's going to be a bang-bang play. He knew he had to dive to get to that bag to get him, and just got him by a fraction of a second.
These Milton runners are not giving Brookline any breaks here.
Absolutely no wiggle room whatsoever. They don't care if they're up 5-6-0. They're still gunning for it, and that's a big reason why they're 15-3 on the season.
Now batting the left fielder, number 5, Harry Hinkle. Base is empty now with 1 out. First pitch in the dirt for ball 1. Hinkle, his last time up, he flew out to center to end the first inning. As this one comes in low for ball 2.
You can only imagine now how many pitches that he's thrown so far in this game. It looks like Brookline may have a few pitches warming up over on the side over there.
This one in the dirt for ball 3. And you're not wrong there, Mark. I mean, even putting aside, the fact that Gosling hasn't had many pitching opportunities over the years, and even putting aside the score, just the number of pitches he's thrown certainly factors into things. And that's going to be a 4-pitch walk to Hinkle. Put another runner at first. Game Changer currently has 70 pitches on the day for Gosling. Might not be up to date with the latest pitch, but now Coach O'Connor and the catcher Doctoroff coming out to talk to Gosling. We'll see if they make a call to the bullpen or if they decide to stick with him as we get ready to cycle around to the top of the order. Owen McHugh coming up. And they are going to stick with Gosling for now. Like you said, they do have some action going in the bullpen. I'm not sure if I'm seeing this right. It looks like it might be number 20, Harrison Siegel. And if that's the case, he would be making his pitching debut for Brookline if he does come in. First pitch to McHugh is a strike. And Hinkle holds at first for now. I mean, with a lot of these Wildcat runners, you almost feel like it's inevitable that they're eventually going to take off. They're taking some really big leads off from first.
And sometimes when you have a righty on the mound, that's the added benefit you get.
Another wild pitch, and Hinkle will take the second base that is given to him. That will be ball 1 to McHugh. Boy, should we call that one a jinx on me?
I can't even tell you at this point. I mean, I've already lost track as to how many stolen bases that's been so far, and we're only in the top of the third.
This one is fouled off by McHugh for strike 2. McHugh so far today, he drew a walk his first time up and later came in to score. Hit a single his second time up and later came in to score. So 1 for 1 with a walk 2 stolen bases, and 2 runs scored.
Done a little bit of everything out there on the bases, at the plate. So
foul tips that one off the face mask. Will stay alive at 1-2.
Ooh, that one's got a sting, but he's hanging in there. Takes it tough. That's why they have those face masks, thankfully.
Yeah, I couldn't even tell whether it was the catcher or the ump that took that one in the face, but thankfully they're both okay.
Kudos to those guys. I mean, you have these pitches, that coming at you at 75 miles, 80 miles an hour sometimes. To have it fouled back at you, you got to have a lot of guts and courage in order to do that.
And there's one guy that didn't take that in the face but took it about in the arm. That'll be a hit by pitch to Owen McHugh.
Also takes courage to stand in there and take that hit by pitch for your team to make it to first base like that, as looks like there's runners at first and second now.
First and second, one down. Up comes the third baseman, number 13, Jimmy Fallon. And he's going to take ball 1. Fallon has been hit by a pitch and struck out so far today. Throw back to second. There wasn't really anyone covering, so that feels more like a throw to keep the runner honest.
Yeah, quite honestly. I mean, with how aggressive Milton's been so far today, almost can't take your eye off them. You got to make sure that they're, staying with it, staying put.
This one is skied deep out to left, but it's going to fly foul. So that will be strike 1.
Yeah, he really put a charge into that one, but luckily for Brookline, just got a little bit early and yanked it foul. So the runners will stay put at first and second.
1-1 the count to Fallon. Swing and a miss there, strike 2. And we were talking before, and I've talked on my broadcast before about the weird dimensions out here at Warren. 346 feet to straightaway left, 327 to left center as that one comes in high, but well snagged by Doctoroff to hold the runners.
Fantastic stop by Doctoroff right there. Keeps the runners at first and second from advancing again. And, yeah, that pitch was really high in the zone. Was able to just sky up there almost like an alley-oop and just bring that one back down.
2-2 the count. And skies this one out to left. Is that going to drop fair? No, it's not. Yes, it is. That's a fair ball. I thought it might have dropped foul, but Jimmy Fallon is going to pull up with a 2-run double. That one landing just fair down the left field line as Fallon drives in Hinkle and McHugh to make this an 8-0 ball game.
Yeah, and like you were saying, Jesse, from our vantage point, it's really hard to see that left field line as it kind of fades into the grass over there. So at first glance, it did look like he yanked that one foul, but no, was just able to keep that 1 inches inside the fair line. So kudos to him, and Milton keeps this inning going as they up their lead to 8.
Milton with their highest scoring inning so far as Scott Longo takes a high ball 1. They had 3 runs in the first inning, 1 in the second, and now they have doubled up their score with 4 here in the third. That one's going to miss outside for ball 2. Important to note, at the high school level, the mercy rule is 10 runs after 5 innings. Milton creeping awfully close to that one, as that one sails in high for ball 3. And you wonder if a big hit like that from Fallon might have shook Gosling a little bit, as he hasn't thrown a strike in the 3 pitches since. Does catch the zone there, though.
Yes, he made good on that last pitch to regain a little bit of command at the strike zone, but a few of those pitches before that, it seems to be losing a lot of command over there. You can, like that one right there, you got to wonder if he's if that pitch count is starting to catch up and start to fatigue him a little bit.
And now in comes Naughton to run for Longo again. And up to the plate comes the first baseman, number 16, KJ Beckett. First pitch is low and away for ball 1. Beckett 0 for 2 so far today. He struck out his first time up and grounded out to short when Felix Ham made that web gem of a play. That's a hard hit. That's going to go through the gap into left. Fallon's actually going to hold at third, not realizing left fielder slightly juggled it, but everyone is going to reach safely and load the bases off the one-out single from Beckett.
Got lucky there for Brookline with that slight bobble. Third base, the runner at third base was not quite aware of that at first glance. So instead of coming in to score and make that 9-0, he has to stay put at third.
And now up comes the designated hitter, number 20, Max Dunn. Flew out to left his last time up, was hit by a pitch his first time up, and he takes ball one there.
And it's just now I'm noticing the first baseman for Brookline, a lot of the game he was playing the runners close, but now playing back at first base behind the runner.
Yeah, well, with the bases loaded, I feel like that's a common strategy. Like when there's a runner out, when the runner at first is not the lead runner, you don't typically put your first baseman in a pickoff spot. And so they have pulled Polgreen back deeper on that first base side, as that one is in there for strike two to Dunn. 1-2 the count. That one just misses low and away for ball two.
8-0. Yes.
Hard hit here, right at Kessler. Kessler's going to turn two.
You got to love that for Kessler and Brookline. Fantastic, line drive shot right at him, able to catch it, step on third base for the double play, and gets out of this inning.
A big play by the senior third baseman.
Even makes it better when he makes a play like that on senior day, nonetheless.
Exactly. We've had a few nice web gems between Polgreen's diving snag at first and now Kessler's big snag over at third. Brookline does get out of the top of the third inning, but Milton hangs 4 runs on the board in that inning. Going into the bottom of the third, the score, Milton 8, Brookline 0. Due up in the bottom of the third for Brookline will be the 9-1-2 hitters, Doktorov, Kravitz, and Kessler. Longo back on the mound. He has been grooving on the mound so far. 2 shutout innings to start.
And as he comes out for his third inning of work, was sitting on the bench for a while there as Milton was able to put up 4 runs on the board. So we got to see how that pitching arm holds up after a long delay like that. But I feel like it shouldn't be too much of a problem for him.
And we got a nice note of good news in the live chat from Kim Chung-sik. John Casey Kim will join the Brookline Bandits summer game during the summertime. So that's nice to hear. I'm sure a lot of folks here in Brookline will be happy to see him. First pitch is going to miss for ball 1. At the plate for Brookline is the catcher, number 8, Ben Doktorov. Takes ball 2 there. Doktorov this season 5 for 21, 1 double, 7 walks, 1 hit by pitch, 4 runs scored, and 2 RBI. Takes that pitch low for ball 3.
And, even down 8-0, you still probably feel good if you're Brookline, knowing that you're at least starting off this inning ahead in the count 3-0, almost getting that first taste of getting on first base.
Not on that pitch, as that is down Broadway for strike 1.
But, of course, with the pitch of Longo, you don't want to speak too soon about that because he can always get himself back in from a hole.
Ooh, Doktorov thought he had ball 4 there, but it caught the corner.
Yes, did that classic motion you always see. He thought it was ball 4, swings the bat away. Umpire's like, got to come back. That's strike 2.
That time it's ball 4.
Yep, had to wait on that one for a moment because worst thing would be if he would have called strike 3 and he did that twice, but waited this time. This time it is ball 4, and now he can take that first taste of first base, as I was saying.
And now with a runner on first to lead things off. Up comes the center fielder, number 3, Ryan Kravitz. First pitch in there, strike 1. Kravitz went down on strikes his last time up. Hoping to help move the runner this time. Fouls that one off for strike 2. And fouls it off again. Kravitz still battling, 0-2 still the count.
And of course, with Milton having the southpaw on the mound like that, you don't quite get that advantage as the runners, as you kind of have to stay closer to first base as he only takes 2 steps off the bag. So a huge disadvantage for Brookline in that case.
Delayed swing by Kravitz is lifted out to left center. That one's going to drop for a base hit. Doctoroff rounding second and racing down to third. Kravitz going to hold at first with a clean single.
Gotta love it for Brookline now as they get runners on the corners and trying to look to chip into this 8-0 hole that they're in. And fantastic that they're able to get the first 2 hitters on. Fantastic clean contact by number 3 as he gets able to move the runner over to third base on that one.
Mark that as the 6th hit of the season for Ryan Kravitz. And now coming up, the third baseman, number 11, Nate Kessler. Throw back to first. That's actually the first, I think it's the first pickoff throw we've seen from Longo so far today.
Might be, honestly, and with because he's a left-handed pitcher, he has that ability and advantage to keep the runners close.
Swing and a miss for Kessler, and you can kind of understand him wanting to keep the runners more honest in this situation. Runners at first and third is often a common stealing scenario at the high school level, just because they're going to be worried about the runner at third, and so they might just let the guy take second, as Kessler swings and misses there for strike 2.
Yeah, absolutely, especially at the high school level. When the runner at first takes off at second base, naturally actually might be to throw down to second, but then when you keep that in mind that the runner's over at third, you want to hold on to the ball because you just let him take second base in that case.
Swing and a miss. Kessler can't find the ball and goes down on strikes for the first out of the inning. 1 down now, and up to the plate now comes the first baseman, number 16, Sam Polgreen. First pitch is high for a ball. Kravitz going to take off for second. He is not going to make it. He is out, but in comes Doctoroff. So, high ball 1, caught stealing second, runner steals home, 8-1, 1-0, 2 out.
Base is empty.
Yes.
A lot happening there, but, hey, if you're Brookline, you cracked 1 on the board, so you are very happy at that result, even if now there's nobody on base now.
1-0 the count to Polgreen, as that one comes in high for ball 2. Swing and a miss there for strike 1. And it is kind of funny, Kravitz involved in his second double steal attempt in as many games, as he and Kessler took part in a double steal play against Canton. That time everyone reached safe, and it was Kravitz who came home. This time he was going down to second, and that time just a really good throw from the catcher to catch him at second there. Polgreen now facing a full count. And that one catches the zone for strike 3. So that ends the third inning, but Brookline is able to score. And at the end of 3, the score, the Milton Wildcats 8, the Brookline Warriors 1.
And what's really fantastic about that, Jesse, was that might have been Longo's wildest inning as far as pitching is concerned. As we know, so the first 2 runners for Brookline were able to reach base on that one. But even with all that, the double steal, it's almost like it was still a successful inning, not wasting too many pitches, and was just able to hold Brookline to 1 on that one. So.
And in fact, Ryan Kravitz's single, the first base hit for Brookline today, broke up a potential no-hitter, I guess. It would have been a bit early in the game to be talking about a no-hitter, but Kravitz does break it. And so now we head to the top of the 4th inning. And it looks like Gosling is still standing on the mound. Coach O'Connor wants to give his seniors as much playing time as they can get. You know, like I said before, Brookline out of the playoff picture at this point. And so this is more about, you know, doing right by the senior players, even if it might cost you one in the win column. You know, at this point, you're already down 7, so even if you brought in, you know, some of your stronger, younger players, you know, it's hard to say, you know, that you would have the best chance at a comeback. So I like the move to keep the seniors in as long as possible.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if it was a more competitive season, you might, you know, start, you know, factoring those into play, also trying to, you know, keep the pitch count down and make sure that you do everything in your power to win. But as you were saying, with the score the way it is right now, with Milton having a huge lead and not showing any signs of stopping, and Brookline with the tough season that they've had, you know, 4-13 on the year, this is more for the seniors, just giving them that opportunity to soak in the atmosphere and the joy of playing the sport one last time before many of them might be hanging it up for good.
Indeed, this will mark their last game at Warren Field. You know, maybe one or two of them might join the summer leagues, but this will be their last time in a Warriors jersey at Warren Field, so certainly a special moment for them.
Exactly. You know, for a lot of them, well, for all of them actually, they're never going to be able to put this uniform on again, so you want to spend as much time as you can today, you know, getting to play the game you love and wearing that uniform.
That hit from Sullivan is going to get through the gap for a leadoff single. And Jack Sullivan on base for the 2nd straight inning. He leads off and gets a leadoff runner on.
Yes, once again, Milton definitely not taking their foot off the gas and getting that leadoff runner at first base again. And we'll see how aggressive they're going to be as he takes a leadoff at first.
Sean McDougall steps back to the box for Milton. Sullivan taking off on the first pitch. High ball 1, throw down to second. He just missed the tag. Ooh, and that was good technique from Sullivan, sliding on the far side of the bag.
Yes, I was about to point that one out. I mean, it looked like the throw almost looked like it beat him there for a moment, but because of that slide he makes to the outside of the bag away from the field, it looks like he was just able to evade him by inches and get him to second safely.
So Sullivan will take second, and an interesting fun fact, the leadoff runner has reached base every inning so far for Milton, but it's only been 2 different guys. Owen McHugh led off the 1st and 2nd inning, and Sullivan has led off the last 2. As this single is going to go up the middle, they're going to hold Sullivan at 3rd, actually, as that single went a little fast up to center, and so they were able to get it back into the infield.
It did, yes. A good decision by the third base coach to hold that run out there with the loud contact and just how hard that was hit. The center fielder got right on it, and, you know, just not enough time or an opportunity at all to send that runner in. So good decision by the third base coach to keep him at 3rd.
So Sean McDougall gets a single, puts runners at the corners with nobody out. Reed Dexter now into the box, and I think in all likelihood we're probably going to see McDougall take second, very possibly unopposed. Shows bunt and fouls it off for strike 1.
Not on that pitch, as it looks like he was trying to see which pitch might be the best for him to go on. So we'll have to see if he decides to do that during this at-bat. Probably will, just trying to gauge what the pitcher has in this at-bat.
Dexter 0 for 1 with a walk and 2 RBIs so far today, as this time he golfs that one foul down the third base side. 0-2 the count. McDougall at first, Sullivan at 3rd. And there's McDougall going, and Doctoroff only fakes the throw as McDougall easily takes second.
Third baseman, the runner at 3rd, not biting on that feigned throw to second, so now you have runners at 2nd and 3rd, both runners in scoring position.
This one bounces past Doctoroff, and in comes Sullivan for run number 9.
Closer play at home as you have more closer than I would have anticipated, but was just able to beat the throw back to the pitcher, covering home and up this lead to 9-1 as the runner now moves over to third on that wild pitch.
Indeed, a shorter backstop than some other parks here at Warren Field creates the potential for plays at the plate on wild pitches. As this one is lifted out to left and could not be snagged by Gibbons. And that will be an RBI hit for Reed Dexter, his third RBI of the year, of the day, his third RBI of the day, and that will bring in McDougal for run number 10.
Yeah, he's been swinging it out there. Gotta love the effort by the left field. Almost looked like he would have gone into a slide and had that, but just about 2 feet in front of him as he tried to make that catch. But good job to keep that ball in front of him and keep the runner from taking second possibly.
This one's also lifted out to left. This time Gibbons under it, and this time he's got the catch for out number 1 as Harry Hinkle flies out for the first out of the inning.
And it's just so good to see him, like, almost on the very next pitch, have another opportunity to make that out that he just missed that first time around, so he makes up for it with this.
I think that actually was the exact next pitch.
Look at that.
Now he cycled back to the top of the order, the shortstop, number 12, Owen McHugh. First pitch low for ball 1. Dexter at first, 1 out. And this one is skied out to left once again. Gibbons coming in, and he's got it for out number 2.
Gibbons definitely getting a lot of work so far defensively in this inning as he's taking care of both outs so far.
Yeah, 3 balls hit to him in the past 4 pitches.
Yeah, definitely keeping you on your toes, keeping you busy out there. So kudos to him for being there in the right position, making the plays to get 2 outs here so far.
Now batting the third baseman, number 13, Jimmy Fallon, as he's going to take strike 1 there. 2 down now with a runner at first. And another strike there from Gosling. 0-2 now the count. This one's high for ball 1. That one gets away. Another wild pitch allows Dexter to go to second. And that will be ball 2.
Looked like Fallon today has had a double early in the game and 2 RBIs, and now with a runner in scoring position, he's going to try to see if he can get his third RBI today as well.
Oh boy, did he jinx him again? No, that time it's going to curve foul.
Got a lot of loud contact in that one, but just was a little bit too early on that swing, pulled it foul, but almost had that third RBI today, as I was saying.
And yeah, you brought up a good point, which is the last time Fallon was up, he did hit that big launcher down the left field line. He had a couple ones out to left. One dropped foul, and then one dropped fair for a 2-run double, and then that one right there dropped foul. This one well blocked by Doctoroff. Going to try and pick him off at second, but no dice. That'll simply be ball 3 to Fallon.
But even with that play, it was even still close at second base than I would have imagined. So, good job by Brookline. Still trying to just be aware of the runners at all times and making them earn their bases.
That one skips past the third baseman fair up the third base line. Dexter going to round third and come home as Fallon will register another RBI as Milton goes up by 10.
And as I said earlier, that third RBI today did come in for Jimmy Fallon. So, once again, Milton not taking their foot off the gas in this one, Jesse, by any means. That's now 3 runs that they've scored in this inning, it looks like.
And that is correct. 3 runs in. And now another meeting at the mound. This might be the end of the day for Gosling, and it will be. And it looks like Fallon is going to get a pinch runner as a new pitcher coming onto the mound for Brookline. Looks like it's going to be number 14, Avery Melton. Melton has not pitched before this season. He has been a catcher primarily for Brookline. So this a very interesting
Very
situation.
much so. Catches and pitches, of course, obviously, they have a very close relationship together. So now we have got an opportunity for the catcher to get on the mound and start pitching. So it will be interesting to see how he pitches from the other side of that battery.
And we've got a pinch runner for Fallon. Number 2 is running for him. And on the roster for Milton High, there are 2 players labeled number 2.
Ah.
So that's either Terran Bly or Tino Finocchio.
If anybody watching on the live stream is able to differentiate the two, please let us know. But wow, that definitely makes things very interesting from a broadcasting standpoint.
Welcome to the logistics of covering high school sports, my friend.
Yes, and in this case, the last names of the players not displayed on the back of their jerseys, so we can't use that to our advantage to decipher which one is which.
And so there'll be a runner at first as as Milton will be facing the heat of the order. First with the number 3 hitter, Scott Longo. And what's important to note now that this is a double-digit lead for Milton.
What's that? 11-1, bottom of the 4th. Top of the 4th, yes. Top of the 4th? Yes.
As I was saying, what's important to note with the double-digit lead now is at the end of the 5th inning, if Brookline has not gotten that lead down to at most 9 runs, then the game will end.
Yes, and so now that we are still in the top of the 4th inning, Milton with a 10-run lead, not too many opportunities for Brookline to try to whittle that lead down to single digits, and that's assuming Milton does not score any more than they already have in this inning. Like we said, they have scored runs in every inning thus far. The first inning, 3 in the first, 1 in the second, 4 in the third, and now so far 3 in the top of the 4th.
So number 2 now leading off from first. First pitch from Milton misses outside for ball 1. Next one low for ball 2. A throw down to first by Doktorov, but number 2 dives back safely.
What you got to love from this Brookline team, though, is that a lot of the throws that they have been making down to first base have been really close, just to the slightly wrong side of the bags.
And another one high and inside for ball 3. You remember what I talked about before, how when a player comes in, he's not a specialist. He's not coming in with the mindset of, I'm going to be a relief pitcher today, as that's going to be a 4-pitch walk for Longo. As you see, some pitchers might come in with control issues. I mean, for Milton, this is his first varsity pitching appearance.
Yes.
Period. I believe he's a junior, but he is primarily a catcher and then occasionally an infielder for Brookline. He's not a pitcher by trade. So add that on top of it as this grounder is going to go through the left gap. Number 2 is going to round third, but it's going to be a play at the plate. Bounces in, snagged by Doktorov. He could not reach the tag. And so it'll be an RBI single for KJ Beckett. And that will make it 12-1.
Yes, as you were saying, Milton here, who is not a pitcher by trade, more of a catcher and sometimes an occasional infielder. This is his first pitching appearance as on the varsity team, and sometimes when you're not a pitcher like that by trade, it's just really a fascinating experience just to get on that mound and just see what kind of stuff you have and what you can do. It kind of reminds me of the time when I was playing back at high school baseball. We were down by a lot. They asked me to pitch 3 innings, and I did okay for myself, honestly. It was a really exhilarating experience.
First pitch to Max Dunn is going to miss for ball 1. Yeah, my entire pitching career, I pitched 1/3 of an inning in Little League. I don't remember how many runs I gave up, but I do remember it was more than 1. And I beamed a kid in the head.
Oh, don't be too hard on yourself, Jesse, on that one. I'm sure that kid is okay by now.
Oh, yeah, no, I could not. You think I could throw hard enough to actually hurt someone? Please.
No.
Runners at the corners, 2-0 the count. And Dunn is going to sky this one. Is it going to stay in play? Polgreen tracking it, but the wind's going to carry it over to the benches and out of play. That'll simply be strike 1.
And, not to age myself over here, but back when I was playing high school baseball, a pitcher that I was fascinated at the time was former Red Sox pitcher Tim Wakefield. So I can remember when I had my pitching appearance, I was, just practicing the knuckleball in that one as I was on the mound. They let me pitch 3 innings, and shockingly, to my surprise, it actually worked out for me. I struck out 6 batters in 3 innings and that day, and we still lost 14-4, but it was amazing to get that experience out there, honestly.
Yeah. Just to age myself even further, that 1/3 inning that I pitched back in Little League, the first pitch I threw, I tried to throw with the same form as Keith Folk.
Oh, my goodness.
And the first pitch I threw got launched into the outfield for an extra base hit. So again, that's my career. There's a reason I'm calling these games, folks. That one's going to miss for ball 3. 3-1, the count to Dunn.
As you remember, Keith Folk being the pitcher for the final out in that 2004 World Series. Unfortunately, not so effective or lucky for you in this case.
Not quite. That one fouled off by Dunn for strike 2. But, I would say all in all that my baseball-related career has worked out pretty well. Perhaps not as a player, but I'm pretty happy with where I'm standing.
Yeah, not too bad. Another funny anecdote I think I told a couple of other people was when we had a chance to win the championship.
This one is going to get away, but that is ball 4. The runner's going to hold at third.
This wasn't my high school baseball career, but middle school, actually. I had a chance to win the middle school championship. It was the bottom of the last inning with 2 outs. We were leading by 2 runs, and the fly ball was hit deep to right field, and I had it as I leaped in front of the fence.
That's going to be a hit by pitch for Dunn. Oh, and I miscounted the count. That was not a walk. That was a hit by pitch. I thought he had already drawn ball 4, but there was another pitch to be thrown and ended up plunking him anyway.
If that is my fault on that one, as I was telling my anecdote there.
So now bases loaded, and we cycle back around to the leadoff hitter of this inning, Jack Sullivan, as he swings and misses at the first pitch he sees. So bases loaded, 2 outs here in the top of the 4th. This next pitch comes in low for ball 1.
And sometimes what I got to remember sometimes is that, a lot of these position players that aren't pitchers by trade, they don't necessarily have that routine on the mound. So when they get that pitch back, it's right back to business for them.
Indeed. And in high school especially, a lot of pitchers just, they get it moving, I always say, if there are things that you're annoyed by with the current scope of Major League Baseball, watch high school ball. I guarantee a lot of the issues are not there. This one going to be lifted out to left. Gibbons tracking it, and Colin Gibbons catches all 3 outs in left field as Avery Milton able to get out of the inning in his varsity pitching debut. We move to the bottom of the 4th as Milton puts 4 more runs on the board in this inning. Our score, Milton 12, Brookline 1. So Brookline is going to need to score at least 2 runs in the next 2 innings to keep this going, and that's assuming that Milton doesn't score any more the rest of the way.
And yes, but so far, judging by how this game has been going so far for both Brookline and Milton, that one might believe that won't be the case.
But we are going to be seeing a different pitcher as number 9, Andrew Hunt, takes over on the mound.
And if
for the Wildcats.
Yes, and if you're Brookline, you are probably very relieved to see a different pitcher on the mound, as Longo was just dealing out there, just mowing down hitters left and right, quite honestly.
And so we'll see if they stick with the same batting order, if we have any pinch hitters. As due up should be Gibbons and Robin. I got my hitters mixed up last inning. I thought that Sam Polgren was up when in fact it was Gosling. That's my mistake, getting things scrambled. So in fact it'll be the 4, 5, 6 hitters due up here in the 4th: Polgren, Gibbons, and Robin. So, Mark, why don't you tell us that anecdote you were
Yes,
trying to build up to?
I was in middle school. It was the bottom of the last inning. Our school's 3 outs away from winning a championship, then 2 outs, then 1 out. 2 runners on, we're up by 2, and the fly ball was hit deep to right field. I was just standing there. What's funny was I was a little bit nervous. I was hoping the ball was not going to be hit the right field, but you start thinking like that, and almost immediately it does. I'm going back there, and I leap right in front of the fence, and for just 2 seconds I had it right at the top of my glove, and in my head I'm celebrating. Yes, we won the championship, and it's because of me. But when you put yourself back in the moment, back into real time, I crash into the fence, ball pops out of my glove, over the fence for a 3-run home run, and we lose.
Oof. Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah, very brutal, and my teammates were not too fond of me on the bus ride home after that game, but
oh, that's just mean. That's just mean.
Yeah, wasn't my fault.
You're trying to make a play at the wall.
I know, and had I made that play, they would have been razzing me and calling me the hero of the game for that one. But very easily, as you could be both the hero, in just a blink of a second, you could be also the scapegoat at the same time.
Leading off for Brookline here, the first baseman, number 16, Sam Polgreen, as he takes strike 1. Polgreen, his last time up, was hit by a pitch. This one in the dirt for ball 1. And one thing I love is I love the noise that Brookline is bringing from the dugout. Even down 11 runs here, they're still rooting for their seniors, to try and make the best of their last game at Warren.
Absolutely. Any sort of support from the bench, matters in a situation like this. And so it's always a nice feeling when you're up at the plate, even with a huge deficit like this, that your teammates still got your back, still believing want, for you to do the best out there.
2-1, the count to Polgreen here. And he golfs this one. This is in foul territory and just barely dropped. And so Polgreen stays alive. That will simply be strike 2.
Yeah, and that one was almost right at us on that one. As the first baseman almost had the play on it, dropped, and it rolled right past us.
Well, what's tricky about this area of the foul territory by where we're broadcasting is we're directly underneath a tree. And This tree hangs out a little further than us, so you never know how the ball's going to bounce off those leaves. Technically it's still in play, but those leaves and the branches are going to mess with it. And even if all it does is just make your eyes blink for a brief second as it goes off it, similar to when a tennis ball goes off the net cord, or, if a defensive back has a hand in your face in football, it can interfere. But at the end of the day, they get the out anyhow as Polgreen goes down swinging.
Yep, different pitcher, but still more the same results as the first batter goes down for Brookline. But yes, as you were saying, a very interesting dimensions of this field over here, and outline of the trees lining up the first and third baseline. So that definitely gets interesting when the trees and the branches come into play.
Now batting for Brookline, the left fielder, number 21, Colin Gibbons. Gibbons had a lot of action in the field last half inning, caught all 3 of Brookline's outs out in left field. Hoping to make something happen at the plate here as he sliced this one foul.
Over to the tennis
strike
courts.
1. Yeah, over to the tennis courts where they play tennis and a lot of pickleball.
Yes, and it's almost interesting because that landed not too far away from someone playing tennis over there. So imagine trying to serve and instead of hitting the tennis ball, and another one is headed over that way.
No, that one hit the backstop.
Excuse me. I'm getting very much ahead of myself, people, so you got to forgive me on that one. But yeah, just trying to imagine with pitching before that.
I actually played tennis in high school, so I don't want to imagine that.
Yes, you're
That's
getting ready
nightmare.
for a serve, trying to hit the tennis ball, and it's a baseball that comes in instead.
And Gibbons with a very defensive swing there.
Did he get a piece of that one?
He did.
Oh, wow.
He got a piece of that one. That curveball looked like it might have fooled him, but he managed to get a piece and stay alive.
Yeah, exactly. It looked like it fooled him badly. It hit the dirt, but as a hitter, when you swing at that, you're telling yourself in your mind, it's like, why would I swing at such a bad pitch? But the fact that you get contact on it anyways and keep yourself alive in there, good job by the hitter.
That one comes in over his head for ball 2. And that time it's strike 3, and it was briefly dropped by the catcher, but he picks it back up and makes the tag for out number 2.
Almost looked like he was going to be able to evade the catcher on that one, but it looked like the catcher just put his long arm out there and was like, nope, sorry, you are out. I don't have to throw down the first base, and yeah, back to the bench for you.
2 down, both on strikes, and now up comes the right fielder, number 18, Alec Robin. First pitch, and he swings. It's a grounder over to short. McHugh throws to first, and actually no, he dropped it at first. Robin reaches on the error.
I got to love the hustle by that number 18 showed as he was hustling down that line. And, sometimes, especially in the big leagues, you hit a grounder like that, it's just very easy to, just lollygag and jog it down the first base as you think you're going to be out anyways. But, these high schoolers always show us how important it is to, always hustle out and run out those ground balls because you just never know when an error is going to show up.
And this is a wild pitch that gets away from the catcher. Robin is going to take second as we've actually got a pinch hitter here at the plate for Brookline. It's the shortstop and the recent freshman call-up, number 9, Felix Ham, who is batting in place of Bora Schlosser.
Yes, and we were noticing the freshman call-up from the freshman team before the start of this game, so now getting his opportunity to get some varsity action in this game, and so you can only just imagine how excited he is for this opportunity in this moment, even with an 11-run deficit.
And I would tell Warriors fans to get excited because this is a little glimpse of what might come in the future as this young man tries to work his way up the lineup. He takes strike 1 there. We did see him make a very nice play at short earlier this game, so the kid's got a quick glove. And now we get a glimpse of what he can do at the plate. Takes strike 2 there. 2-2 the count to Ham. Robin at second. 2 down here in the bottom of the 4th. That one just misses, ball 3.
Gotta love the discipline and the patience that the freshman displays at the plate. That could have gone either way, but he took the gutsy discipline right there and it worked out in his favor this time. As it's ball 3, it's a full count.
Swing and a miss. Ham goes down on strikes. Brookline leaves a runner stranded. And at the end of 4, the score, the Milton High Wildcats 12, the Brookline High Warriors 1. And at the end of this 4th inning, I'd like to take a moment for a local charity spotlight. I'd like to talk about the Brookline Community Foundation. For over 100 years, the Brookline Community Foundation has been a trusted partner, supporting Brookline by investing in organizations and initiatives that help create opportunity and promote equity for everyone who lives, learns, works, and plays in our community. Among the foundation's many grant programs is the BCF Scholarship Fund for Brookline High School, which provides graduating BHS students with scholarships to help fund post-secondary education. To date, 81 BHS students have received scholarships from this fund to help them as they build their futures. Your support is crucial to supporting Brookline youth as they embark on the next steps in their educational journeys. Visit brooklinecommunity.org or call 617-566-4442 to learn more about the BCF Scholarship Fund for Brookline High School and how you can make a difference right here in Brookline. Once again, brooklinecommunity.org or call 617-566-4442. And remember, all that information about our local charity spotlight is in the description of this video down below. And a pretty apt one, I think, for today, Mark, with this being a celebration of a bunch of young men that are about to graduate high school and move on. It's important to know that some people might be more in need of those scholarships, and this foundation does such a good job. Last year, 6 BHS seniors received scholarships from the BCF Scholarship Fund for Brookline High School. So plenty good, worthy cause.
Yes, absolutely. And, the fact that they've been a trusted partner in this community for over 100 years, it always just warms your heart just to see how, much of an integral part to this team and to the community that this organization has been. As you know, the cost of a second higher education in the United States is definitely out of reach for a lot of families across the nation over here. So the fact that you have these organizations and foundations to reach out a helping hand to those that really want to pursue their dreams, it always does a story good.
And we've got a new pitcher on the mound throwing his first varsity pitch. It is number 20, Harrison Siegel. So the second pitcher to come on today and make his varsity debut on the mound. Siegel, typically an outfielder for Brookline. He's had his fair share of production at the plate, shares the team lead in RBI with 6 so far this season, and leads the team in hit by pitches, as he's been plunked 8 times this season, including 2 in last Friday's game at Canton. And now a 2-1 count to Sean McDougall, and make that 2-2 as he throws strike 2 there.
That is some bravery right there. 8 hit by pitches. My goodness. If you've ever been hit by a pitch, not the most comfortable feeling in the world. So the fact that this guy is able to endure 8 of them in the same season, hat off to him to find whatever way to get on base, even if it is the hard way.
Yeah, no, he's I was talking to him after the Canton game, and I was talking to his dad, and they were like, he's asking like, I don't know what I did. What did I do? This one fouled off by Sean McDougall, the Milton second baseman, staying alive with a full count here to start the top of the 5th inning.
Who knows? Maybe it could be a stitching in his jersey that maybe has like some sort of magnetic force to it. Maybe it's his hat, his I couldn't tell you.
This one's going to be a dribbler in the infield, scooped up at third by Kessler, thrown to first. In time for out number 1.
Wow, bang, bang play, but was just able to get that throw that just beat the run over at first base by, like I said, bang, bang play. So, great start by Brookline to get this first out of the inning.
That is actually the first time this game that Brookline retired the first batter of an inning.
Yes, I was just about to say that. So, once again, a fantastic start by Brookline as they try to keep this deficit at 11, because we are at that critical point where, if they cannot score a run in the bottom half of this inning, the game will be called right there and then.
Looks like we've got a pinch hitter here for Milton. Batting in place of Reed Dexter is going to be number 21, Jeff Potter, as he's got a 1-1 count after fouling that one off his foot. So now a brief meeting at the mound between pitcher and catcher. And Mark, what you said before, absolutely correct. The mercy rule in the MIAA is 10 runs after 5 innings. So Brookline will get their chance to bat in the bottom half. If they can't get the deficit down to 9 or lower, then the game will end. Caught out and right.
Nope.
No, he dropped it.
And it was a fair ball on top of that. So runner gets over to second base on that one. Gotta love the effort by number 18, as he looked like he had it in his glove for a moment, but just spilled out of his glove as he took the dive on the grass right there in fair territory, and the runner gets over to second.
So just barely, Jeff Potter records the double out to right, puts a runner at second with 1 down in the inning, and I think we're going to have another pinch hitter for Milton late in this game. I believe that's number 11, Thomas Mitchell, now at batting in place of Harry Hinkle. And he's hit by the first pitch. And so that'll put 2 runners on. And we've got another pinch hitter as we cycle around to the top of the order. This is previous courtesy runner number 22, Luke Naughton, batting in place of Owen McHugh.
And, of course, with such a huge lead, that is an added luxury that you get. You could just, empty out the, the roster almost and just basically get everyone a chance to get an at bat in here in this game.
Runners at first and second, and that one misses. 2-0 the count to Naughton. That one in for a strike. This one low for ball 3. Breeze still coming through pretty consistently out here at Warren. A little chilly as the sun's starting to go down.
Yes, classic, New England spring weather that we're having here today.
This one lifted out to right. Robin tracking it. And this time his gloves around it, throwing it back into the infield as Potter is going to tag and advance to third. That will be the second out of the inning.
But, keeps that runner over at first base, and a great chance for number 18 over there as he almost had it, during that last at-bat, but gets to make up for it by making it on this at-bat.
And now yet another pinch hitter. This is number 10, who is not on the roster, and in fact there are two different number 11s.
10. You said number 10.
Yeah, number 10 is at the plate, and that's a successful pickoff move. Oh my gosh!
Wow.
Harrison Siegel with the quick move. Polgreen with the tag.
Yeah, that was.
I was busy trying to figure out who number 11 and number 10 were because Milton had two number 11s on their roster, but instead we get a guy picked off at first to end the top half of the fifth.
I think that was a move that caught all of us off guard and by surprise there, especially with the 12-1 deficit. But, yeah, Brookline still keeping those runners honest and, doing everything they can to, get out of that inning and, give themselves a chance in their bottom half of the inning. So, yeah, kudos to the pitcher.
And so number 10, whoever that is, will return to the plate if there is a top of the sixth inning, which if the score does not change, there will not be.
Yes,
but we've got a new pitcher on the mound for the
Milton.
Wildcats.
Number 18,
It looks like number 18, who is Ben Katudal.
I'm noticing another southpaw on the mound, so we'll have to see if that has a similar effect as to Longo from earlier in the game. But I'm noticing that he seems to have more of a sidearm delivery, more instead of the Longo's overhand delivery. So we'll have to see how Brookline's batters will pick that up coming out of his hand as he pitches.
And we'll see which Brookline batters come to the plate. Due up are the 8-9-1 hitters, Rosenblatt, Doctoroff, and Kravitz. But we'll see if any pinch hitters get brought in to try and maybe score some runs and keep this game going.
It was a fantastic way to end that top of the fifth inning, though, so we'll have to see if that energy and that excitement carries on to the bottom half of the fifth inning as they need at least two runs, to continue this game into the sixth, and if not, then the game will end.
Indeed. If they score only one run this inning, it will be still a 10-run deficit at 12-2.
Almost caught myself saying one run, but no, 2 runs I needed here because 1 run will not be enough to do it. We need 2 runs to make this a single-digit deficit for the game to continue.
Starting off for Brookline will be the second baseman, number 19, Ben Rosenblatt. Rosenblatt, his last time up, went down on strikes to end the second inning. That pitch comes in low for ball 1. Swing and a miss there for strike 1.
And once again, the Milton pitchers taking the very early opportunity of getting ahead of these Brookline hitters as the count is now 1-1.
This one fouled off.
But now getting ahead of the hitter in the count 1-2, and that seems to have been a theme for a lot of the Milton pitchers getting ahead of these Brookline hitters.
Well, when your offense jumps out early and manages to give you a comfortable lead, that's one of the luxuries. You can just throw strikes and not feel like you have to do it alone, as that one is going to miss for ball 2. 2-2 the count to Rosenblatt. Swing and a miss, and Rosenblatt down on strikes.
But yes, as you were saying, very huge added luxury when you just get out to a huge lead like that. And for the pitcher with the lead, you could just get out there and just focus on throwing strikes. You don't have to worry about location or, how much insurance runs you guys have over there because, with a huge lead like that, it almost seemingly doesn't matter.
Now batting the catcher, number 8, Ben Doctoroff. Last time up, Doctoroff drew a walk and later came in to score what is thus far Brookline's only run on a double steal play, as that one is going to miss for ball 1. That one is going to miss low for ball 2.
Still got to credit the Warriors on this one because even down 12-1, they're still, pulling for their teammates, cheering them on from the dugouts, words of encouragement and support.
Swing and a miss there from Doctoroff for strike 2. That one's going to miss high and away for ball 3. And Mark, I couldn't agree with you more about the support that these guys bring for each other. I mean, these aren't just like co-workers. These aren't just teammates. These are your friends from school.
Exactly. You see them every day, whether it be as a foul ball that hits the backstop, but it's like, whether it be biology class or, lunchtime or, just, after school in the hallways, it's almost like, it's almost a second family almost. You spend so much of your time with them every single day from Monday through Friday in the hallways. So you get to know a lot about them.
Swing and a miss. Doctoroff couldn't reach the high heat there and goes down on strikes. Brookline down to their final out here in the bottom of the 5th. Down 11 with one chance left to try and keep this inning going and try and keep this game going. Coming up to the plate will be the center fielder, number 3, Ryan Kravitz. First pitch, and he fouls it off for strike 1. Kravitz so far with Brookline's only base hit of the day so far, as he got a single back in the 3rd. Before that, he went down on strikes, and he took ball 1 there.
And that's the one thing that gets lost in all this. As you were saying, that is the only hit so far by Brookline in this game. So if they do not put up 2 runs before the end of the 7th inning here, without that one hit, we'll be talking about a no-hitter on our hands. So
that one is going to miss for ball 2. Fouled off again. That'll be strike 2. 2-2 the count to Kravitz. Brookline down to their final strike. And a check swing foul.
And that's just going to prolong this game for at least one more pitch. Because, you're up at the plate now. That's probably going through your mind. It's like, it's like, what can I do to extend this game, make sure that the game does not end with me?
And another defensive swing by Kravitz. You could see the hesitation there, but finally deciding to just poke that ball foul to stay alive. Still 2-2. And a timeout is called. And again, you still hear the noise being brought from the dugout. Another 2-2 pitch. Hits a grounder. Over to third. It's fielded, thrown to first, and just beats him by a step.
Oh.
No!
Oh, no!
No! Did they pull him? He came off the bag.
Yeah, they're saying he came off the bag. I don't know about that one.
But whatever it is, the game will continue as Kravitz reaches on what's either an E5 or an E3, depending on how you score it. And now stepping into the box, the third baseman, number 11, Nate Kessler. And that one is tipped off the catcher's mask for strike one. This game's not over yet, folks.
Not quite over yet, folks. I mean, maybe it's just a footnote, after the conclusion of this game. But if you're Brookline, you're getting another chance at this. And so, you just got to cash in and make the best out of this one. You never know what can happen at this high school level sometimes.
Absolutely. 0-1, the count to Kessler. 0 for 2 so far today, as he takes that one low and away for ball one. Kravitz at first, but he's got to be a little cautious with a lefty on the mound.
Once again, a left hand on the mound, so you can't be taking a huge lead like that.
That one curves in for strike two. Brookline again down to their final strike out here at Warren Field. And got a piece of it.
Woo. Definitely the anxiety, going up in my levels, even off to the sidelines over here. I'm not even playing this game, and I'm feeling the anxiousness and the tenseness of this game. For them, I want this game to continue going for them, just for the sake of them,
Exactly. Still a 1-2 count to Kessler. Swing and a miss, and that is your ball game. Final score after 5 innings, the Milton High Wildcats 12, the Brookline High Warriors 1.
And of course, Milton, they're showing every reason why they're having such an excellent season. Dominant pitching on the mound, aggressive base running, fantastic hitting. It's almost like this team is a complete package. And for Brookline, even though it's the result that you wouldn't have hoped for, being, beaten 12-1 today, you still got to love the effort that they put in there on, those fantastic defensive plays to keep this game from even getting more out of hand. And even just, the effort that they put in, never giving up in this game. And, you got to love it for the Warriors.
Absolutely. And a special senior day shout out to the seniors of 2023 for Brookline: Ryan Kravitz, Nate Kessler, Leander Gosling, Sam Polgreen, Colin Gibbons, Alec Robin, and Bora Schlosser.
Yes, hats off to them. If this is their final game, it's going to be their final game in a Brookline uniform. I don't know what they do in their future.
It's going to be their final home game at least. Yes. There's 2 road games still left in the season on Wednesday and Friday, but final home game.
Let's see. For whatever they choose to do in their future endeavors, I don't know if some of them will continue to play on at the next level or whatever they choose to do, but good luck to them, and I'm pulling for them, whatever they choose to do.
Absolutely. just for me, as someone who's followed the team, I'll just give some specific shout-outs. We'll start with Bora Schlosser. Guy didn't get a lot of playing time. Like I said, known more for his production on the football field, but you could see throughout the season how much the team loved having him around, having him in the dugout, traveling with the team, and the few times he went up, you could see how hard they were pulling for him. Even as a first-year varsity baseball player, he fit into this clubhouse perfectly. Shout out to Bora Schlosser. Next up, let's talk about Colin Gibbons. Also
busy left fielder, yes. Colin Gibbons, got to love his effort out there today.
He definitely he made a couple of nice catches out in left today. Another guy didn't have too many plate appearances, but came in and gave every effort he could when he did. Did have a base hit, I think, in actually his first plate appearance all the way back in the game out in Braintree. But shout-outs to Colin Gibbons. Next up, let's give a shout-out to Sam Polgreen, who was given the Most Improved Player Award at the Players Banquet for the baseball team specifically. As a first-time varsity player this year, he was asked to step in defensively in a big way at first base. He sort of took over that secondary first baseman spot behind Connor Jernigan, who was simultaneously a starting first baseman and a starting pitcher for Brookline. So Polgreen had to, step up, and he played well defensively at first. Even if he hasn't gotten a hit so far this season, he, did reach base for the first time today, which was nice, and he made a nice diving play at first earlier today, just showcasing what he could bring at that first base position. Shout out to Sam Polgreen. Next up, let's move to Alec Robin, another first-year varsity player. He established himself quite well as a pinch runner for Brookline. I believe he's had 2 stolen bases and 3 runs scored as a pinch runner. And, if you watch that intro video we do, that is him sliding into third and then quickly hopping up and heading for home on a nice play he made on the base paths, just showcasing what he can bring as a runner on the base paths. Did reach base as a batter for the first time today with a walk. So shout out to Alec Robin. And he also made a couple plays out in right today. So again, shout out to Alec Robin there. Next up, next we move to the 3 guys who have been on the varsity team since they were sophomores and have worked their way up gradually into bigger roles on the team. First up, Leander Gosling. Got the start on the mound today. It was a tough start against a tough opponent, but he hung in there as long as he could, so credit to him for that. Primarily known as an infielder, and he's faced his fair share of hard hit balls. He's made plays here and there. Like I said, he's proven himself a strong on-base guy this season. His production and his contributions may not always show out in the box score, but Leander Gosling has been a consistent member of this team, like I said, dating back to 2021 as a sophomore, and his contributions will not be forgotten. Hats off to Leander Gosling. Next up, let's talk about Nate Kessler. Nate Kessler, who started out as kind of a platoon infielder back as a sophomore, evolved into an occasional relief pitcher as a junior, continued to be a relief pitcher this year, and has had a fairly productive year this year as a relief pitcher and a productive year as a hitter. He's had 9 base hits, 6 runs scored, and 3 RBIs so far this season. He has stepped up offensively in a big way. He was a guy who didn't see a lot of plate appearances last year. He took a big step forward as a player and took on a much bigger role this year and really stepped into it, and should get a lot of credit for the way he stepped up in his senior season. Shout out to Nate Kessler. And then lastly, to number 3, Ryan Kravitz, another guy that I've been following since his sophomore year back in 2021. I could make a highlight reel just off of catches made by Ryan Kravitz alone. The number of diving, sliding, laying out catches he's made out in that outfield. It's a large number, let's just put it that way. I've definitely seen him make a lot of great highlight-worthy plays in the outfield. His production on offense has been up and it's been down, it's been around. He's found different ways to contribute, whether that's more as a guy who draws walks due to his relatively smaller size, or as a guy who can make contact with the bat, like the single he got today to break up a potential no-hitter, or making things happen on the base paths. He's found ways to get himself on base, to scrap his way on base in one way or another throughout his career in Brookline. And if that's not Brookline baseball, I don't know what is. Shout out to Ryan Kravitz. So thank you all for tuning in today. Thank you to my broadcast partner, Marc Jean-Louis, for joining me out here. Remember, if you enjoyed this broadcast, be sure to hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date on all my upcoming broadcasts. I got a full slate this week. Got boys lacrosse senior day game on Tuesday, boys volleyball's senior day game on Thursday, and then I got 2 more baseball games on Wednesday and Friday as they close out the regular season. And then after this week, it'll be playoffs. So be sure to stay tuned for all of that. Subscribe to the channel can help. If there's anything you'd like to say, I encourage you to say it in the comment section down below. after the live stream is concluded. Thank you to everyone who kept the good vibes going in the live chat throughout the game. Also, be sure to go down below to the description section for all the information on our local charity spotlight, the Brookline Community Foundation. Find out more about the BCF Scholarship Fund for Brookline High School and the other great grants that they've got going to support the Brookline community. Check out the bottom right corner of your screen or the description section. You'll see some information about me, my personal website, jessesports.com. Find out more about me, the freelance sports broadcasting services that I provide, how you can commission those services for your favorite team. You can also email me directly with any questions or requests you may have, and you can also follow me on Instagram, where I post highlights from previous live streams. But that is going to do it. At the end of 5 innings, Milton 12, Brookline 1. Mark, thank you so much for joining me on this broadcast today, man. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Exactly. Thank you for having me out here, Jesse. It just kind of reminds me of our old days back when we used to do broadcasts and podcasts together. So definitely have to do some more together in the future.
Absolutely. And we'll have some summer baseball to look forward to over the summer, so maybe we'll get a few games in that way.
Yes, and during the summer, hopefully the weather will be nice and a little bit warmer, because I don't know about you, my back and my shoulder is freezing. I'm not in college anymore. I'm getting a little bit older now, so I have to make sure I dress a little bit better for the weather.
You'll learn. You work more at these games, you'll learn. You got to just bet on it being colder than you expect.
Yes, and like I said, I'm not quite, and I'm no longer in my 20s. I'm in my 30s now, so the pain of the cold is starting to seep in there, folks. It's starting to seep in, but I think I'll be okay.
Well, for Mark, Jean-Louis, and for all the teams that played out here today, I am Jesse Mayfield-Sheehan. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a good night.
And done.
Now I'm just got to watch, because there's a bit of a delay, so I have to watch before I hit the end stream button.
Like, how much of a delay is it usually?
Like 15, 20 seconds.
Okay, that's not too bad then.
Yeah, no, it's not too bad. If it was worse than that, then that means there's something really wrong with the Wi-Fi connection, and I'm screwed anyway.
Now, the Wi-Fi connection, is that connected to here, or is it?
No, that's the audio interface.
Oh, okay. So, I'm not sure if you're using like a mobile hotspot. Or...
I am. Yeah. In this particular location, I'm using a mobile hotspot. I could use like Xfinity Wi-Fi or something, but I just find the mobile hotspot a little bit more reliable.
A little bit stronger connection.
Exactly.
Yes. Sometimes it reminds me of my days doing women's basketball broadcast with Cody Crichel sometimes, and how he would get that Wi-Fi hotspot connection going.